Hello, hello. Thank you everyone for your time. My name is Kelly Jones and I am an Education Partner Account Manager with Microsoft. And today we're going to share with you exactly what the Microsoft Education Solution looks like and how it is meeting the educational needs of teachers, students, and administrators in this current environment. And then Nikki, our Microsoft ambassador with D&H, she's going to demonstrate how some of these tools actually work so you can see firsthand how it's experienced within a school setting. So this is our CEO, Satya Nadella, and he said, there is no better time to reimagine education and how technology can support that transformation. The technology landscape in today's school system is complex. And the past 3 years, it has accelerated reliance on technologies in all sectors. We're seeing more and more schools, they're adopting a one-to-one device program in order to reduce the need for sharing devices and also being able to provide equitable access to technology. But as you guys can probably attest to, device rollouts, they can be slow and fragmented because of budget constraints and also the procurement challenges. So there is also inconsistent use in the teaching tools within districts and schools among teachers, and that creates hurdles for IT. These pressures are compounded by rising cyber threats and then the device maintenance costs. So to meet the growing needs of students and educators in this post-pandemic world, Microsoft's learning tools have been reimagined to empower educators to help students to gain critical foundational and workplace skills, to accelerate learning, and to help every student to catch up. We want them to keep up, and then we also want them to get ahead, and you'll hear me say that again. So it has been a bumpy road to get to what we're calling accelerated learning. So prior to 2019, many school districts, they were focused on adaptive and personalized learning, relying on that low-cost browser-first laptops, and they use shared devices and computer cards to get that one-to-one ratio. And I'm sure there are still some using the computer cards as well today. But then we moved to the remote learning era, and the pandemic mandated remote learning. It forced schools to rapidly shift to online teaching and learning. The equity, accessibility, and inclusion problems resulted in significant learning loss for students. So compared to 2019, the average test scores in math and reading, it declined in the grades 4 and 8. And now we had technology that was faster than ever, but little training and support. And also during this time, we had the emergency relief funding, and that allowed schools to purchase and deploy way more devices, more powerful devices, and technology solutions. So then we go to the next era that we're in now, the area of accelerated learning. For curriculum leaders and educators who are trying to help students accelerate progress, the learning accelerators, this is a new class of learning tools that's free, and it's built within Microsoft 365. So unlike Google Classroom, learning accelerators, it provides real-time coaching to encourage every student to fully engage in learning. And additionally, learning accelerators, it streamlines the creation of assignments, the review of those assignments, and also the analysis process. So you're going to free up precious time for educators and help teachers differentiate between instruction and then also those actionable insights. So Microsoft 365 was created to empower educators to help students to gain critical, foundational, and future-ready skills. Our solutions enable learning outcomes no matter where you're located. It's secure technology that is inclusive and accessible by design. And these tools, again, they accelerate the learning opportunities. So right here, let me get my point. This is the full picture of the Microsoft 365 education solution. So let's start here at the bottom row. It's platform management and security. So Microsoft's platform management and security solution, it ensures that devices are secure, that they're up to date, that they're compliant with the organization's policies, And it also includes tools that protect the network and data from unauthorized use. It's also going to maximize teaching and learning. So the Windows 11 student and educator devices, they will protect against evolving threats online and offline. And it will also simplify management and deployment while optimizing device performance. Plus, it will protect access and identities. It's going to thwart attacks to ensure compliance. So you guys are probably aware that in order to help protect schools across the country, Congress enacted the K through 12 Cybersecurity Act of 2021. So this required the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, to report cybersecurity risks facing elementary and secondary schools. So the first thing they had to do was they had to develop an online training toolkit designed for school officials and then make available cybersecurity voluntary recommendations. At a minimum, Microsoft 365 A5 for education, it will help your school meet that priority recommendations from CISA and a lot more. So if we move to this next row, you will see accessibility and inclusion. So our Windows devices are inclusively designed education solutions, and they provide accessibility features that give students and educators multiple ways to engage and to participate in learning regardless of their ability. Inclusion and accessibility checks are built in across our products and services. So each student and educator, they can customize the type and the level of support that's required. So as you can see, there's translation and transcription tools that provide every student with real-time support they need to fully participate in learning. So then next, we go right here to our instructional tools. So Microsoft 365, it brings together the best productivity solutions to stay connected and to optimize performance. Students and teachers, they can create impressive content, access important files, stay up to date and organized. They can collaborate with anyone and anywhere, anytime. And these tools make learning easier with our familiar productivity applications like Word, Excel, OneNote, and Teams. Plus, you're also going to get that online and offline productivity. As you can also see, there's some enhanced capability with some new tools that includes Flip, Stream, and Clipchamp. And this helps streamline workflows and also the educator professional development. As if you remember, I mentioned before the new tools that are in place, but how are we helping the teachers to be able to take advantage of this new technology? And then lastly, we talk about the learning accelerators. So like I said, learning accelerators is a new category of learning tools included in Microsoft 365 for education, and it streamlines the creation, the review, and the analysis of assignments. And it also provides students with real-time coaching, and that's going to help them, again, to catch up, keep up, and to get ahead. So these tools are ideal for curriculum leaders and educators who are trying to help their students accelerate progress. So unlike Google Classroom, Learning Accelerator, again, it provides that real-time coaching, and it encourages every school, every student to fully engage. And again, additionally, Learning Accelerators, it will also free up precious time through individualized practice exercises. And again, it helps the teachers to differentiate that instruction time versus finding those actionable insights. One teacher said this about our tools: with this technology, it's like there are 20 extra teachers in one classroom. And that is such a profound statement. And with teachers, they are overworked. Currently, we know this. So our solutions, it actually helps give time back to the teachers. So now I want to talk to you about the value of having a modern Windows 11 device in the classroom. I don't want to spend too much time on this because I'm sure you're all very familiar with the Windows 11 value from devices that you probably sell within the commercial space. But I do want to say that when we're talking about inclusively designed, this isn't just a tagline. The tools and features in Windows 11, they work in all of Microsoft's education solutions. So you get integrated learning tools to help students master reading, writing, and math. You can have digital pen to write and draw naturally on a more sensitive touchscreen. And you can also access files and apps with your voice or with gestures. Windows 11 are the most secure Windows ever. It's built for security. So you're going to be able to guard against those unsafe websites, malware, and phishing. Our devices, they defend against unauthorized users. And then also you're going to maintain the highest level of student privacy at school and offsite. And just as an added value as well, you get a seamless experience using our familiar apps for Microsoft 365. The new devices, they offer built-in features for improved security and performance. And then also you can provide devices that will actually prepare students for their future in college and in their career. So we have two versions of Windows 11 devices. So we have Windows 11 Pro, and then we also have Windows 11 SE. So Windows 11 Pro, again, that's our world-class operating system, and it really can help elevate the educational experience for students and for teachers. And our Windows 11 Pro prioritizes student privacy, and also it uses those familiar modern management tools. But then there's Windows 11 SE. So this is our first set of computers that was specifically designed for the needs of that K through 8 education. It offers all the improvements you're going to get from Windows 11 with the updated interface, the enhanced experience, but we've tuned the operating system to provide an optimized experience on those low-cost devices. And those often will have limited memory and processing power and probably smaller screens. But again, we've optimized this for cloud-first apps as well as cloud-managed services. So schools are going to have greater control, and they're going to need less expensive infrastructure to manage this technology. So with Windows 11 SE, you're going to be able to offer an affordable way to provide devices to every school in an educational setting, and that's going to increase access for more students and more schools. Plus, you're also going to have be able to maximize those valuable technology budgets. It's also going to help bridge that digital divide. By being able to offer low-cost devices that are affordable, more students will be able to have access to technology. And lastly, you're going to provide experience and tools and technologies, again, and I keep saying it, that prepares the students for their future. So with Windows 11 devices, you're going to get better performance, faster processing, increased security, and just an overall improved experience with the Windows 11 devices. So next, I'm going to introduce Nikki Bartholomew. She is our Microsoft ambassador, and she's going to give you a live demo of some of the tools that I just mentioned. So Nikki, she is a former educator in the Pennsylvania, both public and private school systems. She's currently an adjunct clinical professor. She's a wife, she's a mother, she's a lifetime learner. And her passion for education and the love for students is what drives her to share with basically anyone who will listen about the benefits of the Microsoft Education Solution. So go ahead, Nikki, take it away.
Hello. All right. So I am Nikki Bartholomew. I am the Microsoft Education Ambassador for D&H. And we thought that we would run you through some of our demos for Microsoft and some of their solutions. So our first one we are going to look at is Microsoft Teams. And let me share my screen and I will show you what that looks like. From a teacher perspective, and we have a link for these demos. You'll be able to go through all of them at length. You also can use them on calls if you would like. So this is just an overview of Microsoft Teams, some of the new meeting features, some of the assignments and grading features, and then some that get. So this just walks you through. You're going to meet Kara Coleman. That's the login that we're going to be using, and she is a science teacher. So as a teacher, when you log in, or as a student, it already looks a little bit different than the Teams we are used to, but we're going to use the web app. We're going to log in as Cara, and this is what her Teams dashboard is going to look like. So this gives her a lovely grid view, and there's pictures and things that are a little more simple and easy to use or find. So we're going to click on her physical science class. So this is a class team. This is the hub for the whole class. This is a place where you can put chats, you can put assignments, and then across the top, you're going to see her posts, her files, class notebook, assignments and grades, and different tabs that she can add as a teacher. So every team, of course, has the post tab. This is similar to our, I would say, in our commercial teams. And this is just a place where you can, as a teacher, kind of make an announcement or talk to the class as a whole, or you can talk to just specific students. So if you have, a reading group A, or a group of students working on a certain project, you could also mention them specifically. So all of their assignments will also be listed in this. And if you've ever used Google Classroom has something they called like the feed. So this is going to be a very similar idea to the feed. And it's just sort of real time, everything listed as it was added. You also have all of your class meetings. You can find those other places as well. So students can also reply to the teacher. They can ask questions, they can talk to each other, and there are settings that can be set for each class. I don't know about everybody else, but I had some middle schoolers and some like fourth graders that I had to turn that feature off sometimes because they would just get a little extra silly, and it just, they lost the privilege for a couple of days. So here you can see the teacher and the student, having a conversation here in Teams. It also offers a complete meeting solution to help in your class. So you can set up those meetings, and then you can click over here on your calendar icon, and it will pull up your calendar overall. And in here, you're going to click new, and then name it. So in this case, we are going to create a class follow-up discussion. And we have a general tab. We can click here, and that will make it a general meeting across all of her classes, across the whole class. And then she can click the send button, and it will be scheduled. And it pops up right here to whomever she invited to that meeting. So we will click on that. And here are the meeting options. So each meeting has all of these options that you can set up for that meeting and control who can enter, how they can enter, and who can present, who can chat, who can take control of the screen, that sort of thing. Just like Zoom and Google Meets, you can decide, are they going to go into first, going to enter directly, and all of that good stuff. So she has chosen that she is the only one that can present, and then she's going to hit save. So one of the new features we're going to talk about in a minute is they have updated this, where you can set up templates and then just pick from those templates. So, I have a fourth grade science class, and it has the following settings already set up. And then if I have my fifth grade science class, I could just click that science class, elementary science class button, and it would implement those settings for me. So I'm not having to click them each time. So you would just click this join button. You would join that meeting. Again, it looks very similar until you actually get into the meeting. So she can click and see, who is here, just like in regular Teams. And then, of course, she can record the meeting. The nice thing is, once you record that meeting, it gets dropped into your class tab, so the students can access it when it's finished. The class channel or Microsoft Stream, see, there it is, the words I can't think of. So they are going to turn on their video and use something called Together mode, which is specific for EDU. And I love this mode because they take the picture, the video feed from the student teams, and they there's a couple different options on how you want this set up, but you add it like this and it looks like you're in the classroom together, and it just gives you that little bit of extra feeling of community, which is fantastic. Plus the students can see themselves outside of those little Brady Bunch windows, which is always a nice change of pace if you spend a lot of time in teams. Participants can also if they have been granted permission. So of course you can click the button and share, and she can share, PowerPoints. She can upload files for the class to use later, and they can see them. Students can raise their hand during class to ask questions. And one of the new features that was added that I can discuss later too is once they unmute and they talk to her, you can have it set where it will automatically lower their hand. So you're not calling on a student who had a question but no longer has one, which I thought was a fantastic feature. So there's also this whiteboard feature in Teams where they are able to present, or you can collaborate as a class. So we're going to, all 14 of us, collaborate on this. And, she asked her class this question: ways to contribute to shark conservation. And then they made these cute little sticky notes and gave their responses. My children both do virtual learning. They are in a cyber school and they use these tools pretty much on a daily basis. And it's pretty awesome to watch. So once they collaborate as a group, then of course the educator can create a breakout room and talk in smaller groups. So that's always a fun thing. My son, will get put into a breakout group of 3 or 4 students, and they discuss, a question or a part of an assignment, and they come to a consensus, and then they go back to the big group and, they present their hypothesis or their findings. So this is just showing us how to do it. So we're going to create 2 rooms. It will automatically assign them. If you have a couple personalities that absolutely do not you're going to want to use this manual, and you can place the students as you see fit. It also works for things like reading groups, or if you have things that are scaffolded a certain way where a certain group of students need some of those accommodations that look a little different, but they're similar to each other. You can absolutely group them that way. If you want to pair them up with a strong reader and somebody that's not as strong of a reader, however you as the teacher would decide to do that, you do have those options as well. She can absolutely rename these groups, which is awesome. So instead of trying to remember that room 1 is talking about this dorsal fin, you could rename it and call it something completely different. So great white sharks. So now she will remember that that is talking about this shark and their dorsal fin. You click on the ellipses, you click rename room, and this room is going to be discussing hammerhead sharks. Fantastic. So just a little simple thing for the teacher to keep this straight later, just so you're not writing down, and my desk is covered in sticky notes already, like group 1 has these students and they're going to be discussing this. You can just rename it right in here so you have it on the fly. You're going to click the Start Room button, and those students that you picked are automatically going to go into those breakout sessions. Then you can click here and make an announcement, and that will go out to all of breakout rooms and just pop up on the student screen and let them know how much time they have left and what's going on. And then you can close the rooms and everybody pops back into that giant group, and you can continue as a group for class. So Teams also has all of these features where you can create conversations, you can create announcements, you can share them across channels and across teams in different classes as you see fit. So if you click that format, you can add stickers, add emojis, you can add files, all sorts of really awesome things. So if we click on the next button, you're going to see some of these things. So maybe she's going to share a document, or maybe, we're going to put this crazy taco in for Taco Tuesday, or my boss is always joking around about French fries, right? Just go the extra mile, give them the fries. Maybe we put in the little fry guy. Maybe you want to send a badge or a sticker. Like when I was a kid, we got scratch and sniff stickers. They were one of my favorite things ever. I know my students all the way up to seniors, they still love stamps and stickers. So maybe you're going to send them a little praise sticker and say, hey, you're working really hard, and I see that. I appreciate your hard work. So then you can go into files and you'll go into class materials, and you can see all of the documents that you don't want them to edit. So in Google, they call them templates. This would be similar, a template of a document for your students. And then you can go into the OneNote class notebook tab, and this is a place where you can take notes as a student. The teacher can give information to the students here, and it works kind of like a virtual interactive notebook or a virtual binder. I don't know if anybody on this call uses OneNote. I use it all the time. The tabs help me keep myself straight, and I can color code it, and it's fantastic. You can share pages out of it. You can collaborate. It's the same here, just cooler. I don't have a better word. So this is automatically included in all of the class teams, this class notebook. And every notebook has a collaboration space where all of the students can work together in that space. So this is in the content library. They can add the content here, they can read it, but they cannot edit this. It also has a private space for each student where they can take their notes. And you're not going to see everybody else's notes. You're only going to see your notes, unless, of course, they share their notes with you. But this is a great place where you can assign homework or activities where the students will use the drawing tools, the ink, the pictures, the lines, the math assist, whatever they need to use to interact with this diagram. So here, they're drawing in their notebook and labeling and interacting with this cell. So then in the assignments, you would have all of these different places where you can put an assignment, and this will show you how many people have turned it in and what that all looks like. So we're going to create a sample assignment, and we're going to title it group projects. And here you can type a lot of instructions. There's tons of room for instructions. She does not even use a third of the room. You can put in pictures if you need to and all of that. You can add resources where you can add all of the files that the students might need or are going to need to complete this project. Add I don't know about other teachers, but rubrics are one of my favorite things in the whole wide world. I always found it very clear, in order for me to get a 100% on this project, I have to meet these criteria, and they were very clear. There was no gray area, there was no guessing. So a well-written rubric is one of my favorite things in the whole wide world. The trick is making a written rubric, right? So you can create this, edit all of this, add these, tell it how many points they're going to get, what the percentage is, etc., and then attach. And now they know what the grading rubric is going to be. And then by default, this is to all students. But again, if you have students who need accommodations that are or a slightly varied rubric, you can send this out individually or in small groups. So depending on what the teacher needs, right? So here, these 4 students, because they're in that small group, they're going to be doing the Amazon rainforest assign. And you can do that with each group that you need to do. So as you have stuff that's coming back, you can add feedback to their grades, to their assignments. You can, add stickers, tell them they're doing a great job. You can put in their grade, go into the grade tab, and it will show everything they have returned. He got a 50 out of 50. He got 86 out of 100 on this project. And you can kind of get an overview of who's missing assignments and how they are doing overall. All right, all teams, and we will go back. And here we go. So now there's something called Insights, and this is that intelligent data analytics tool. And this is showing you all sorts of crazy stuff. You can see the digital engagement, who was active this week, who was inactive this week. You can track their activity. What were they doing? What were they actively working on? What were they completing? What assignments were they spending a significant amount of time on? And as a teacher, that's all information that is helpful organically. Like if I see that out of 15 students, 12 of them took 3 hours to work on the homework assignment that I thought was going to take 15 minutes, that's really interesting feedback for me, that maybe I miscalculated how difficult the assignment was, and maybe we need to reteach it or really work through it and find out what the issues maybe were on that particular assignment. You can also see the average grade, and then you can look at all of this data. What is the assignment average? How many errors did they have on each of these assignments, and track that data, which is really, really helpful. All right. So I am going to hop out of this demo and click back into a different demo. And I will check in and make sure there aren't any major questions. All right. So in this one, we're just going to look at, I closed the wrong one. I apologize. All right. Perfect. So in this one, we are just going to take a quick look at the immersive reader. So again, we completed those assignments and created a new assignment in the last one. And I said that once you end your meeting, it will record, if you recorded it, and it will save that in this assignments tab. And it will save that where they can watch it again. And this is just a quick overview of what the rubric looks like. All right. So in all, well, I should say all across the Microsoft education ecosystem is something called immersive reader. If you have ever had any difficulty reading something because of the colors, or if you have ever wished that it was a different font because the font that you're using is really hard for you to see, if you have ever had a word and you were like, I have no idea what that word means, and you have to go out and look it up in a dictionary or something to that effect, use immersive reader. Immersive reader is fantastic. So this will let you change the text size. You can make it gigantic, you can make it smaller, you can increase the spacing. Maybe this is too far apart and you're getting distracted. Maybe it's not far enough apart. So you can change it to a dark theme. Maybe white and with black text is hard on your eyes after a while. Maybe the green makes you feel better. Maybe the black is easier to read in that dark mode. Maybe you want to see the syllables in each of these words so it's easier to sound out words you're not aware of. Or maybe these students, are learning about nouns and verbs, and you want to turn these on so it highlights the nouns and the verbs in what they're reading, and you can do an activity based on that. Maybe that's an accommodation for certain students that really struggle with parts of speech. Maybe there are some reading preferences. Maybe you need line focus. My son gets distracted. But it's helpful. Microsoft worked with the Dyslexia Foundation and came up with this toolkit that is built into Immersive Reader to help students who struggle with ADHD, ADD, are neurodivergent, are dyslexic, and to give them some tools that will help them be able to read more easily, right? That line focus is fantastic. Having one line to focus on and then maybe change the font to something that's a little easier to read. There are certain fonts that are a little more clear to read if you have dyslexia or certain learning disabilities. They just find that it's easier for your brain to decode. Fantastic. This gives every student access to these tools as part of the solution for free. They don't have to clear paperwork. They don't have to ask. There's no special device that you have to buy. If you have students who, have visual impairments, you don't have to buy one of those crazy expensive giant screen readers. For everybody, maybe some of them can be helped with this. I'm sure there are students that the screen just isn't maybe going to be big enough. It's going to depend on the district, but this will meet the needs of almost every student that you come across, which is fantastic. It also has this translate feature, 67 languages, and I think it's actually up over 120 now for text translation. And then there's also a auditory translation in, I want to say, 80 some languages. They keep adding to them, so I'm not as current on the numbers today as I was a month ago. So to the right of this document, you're going to toggle on this document translation, and it's now in French. So those English as a second language, English language learning students, this is fantastic for them. They can see it in their comfortable language and toggle it back and forth as their English skills grow. You can even use this in a foreign language class and take some English stuff and translate it into the language that the students are learning. So this is fantastic. And it's, again, across the ecosystem. There's also this picture dictionary, which is fantastic. If you don't know what a word is, you can click on it. It will pop up a picture. It will read it to you. And in this case, because we had it in French, it will read it to me in English and French. Again, great for those second language learners. I had students in my classroom that spoke like 8 words of English, and I was supposed to teach them, junior level social studies and STEM. This would have been amazing to have when I was teaching those students. So this is built in across the board, which is fantastic. All right, so now I'm going to switch from here and we're going to go into the reading progress demo. I absolutely adore reading progress. I'm very, very excited. I moonlight as a literacy tutor, and that's my adjunct professor job. Is I mentor other tutors who are also teaching literacy and mathematics to elementary and middle school students across the country. And we use something called a Dibbles test. Reading progress is kind of like the AI virtual equivalent of a Dibbles test. It's pretty phenomenal. So if we're going to create a reading progress assignment, you would just click here, you would start. We're going to go into 4th grade because that seems like a good grade. We're going to make an assignment, create it, create an assignment. We're going to call this geography reading, which is phenomenal because I taught geography for 10 years. So we're going to read this out loud and we're going to click reading progress. Now, what's really cool about this is I can import any Word document or PDF, or I can browse the Microsoft sample library. So if the school is already using something like Discovery or Discovery Ed or Newsella or CK12, or you have PDFs that are coming out of your textbook curriculum, maybe your teacher specifically for that student, you can import whatever you want, basically, that is in Word or PDF formats into this. Here she wrote a geography one, and we're going to put the reading level. And then you're going to click, is this fiction or nonfiction? Because that changes how it's going to grade the assignment if you use the AI option. And then this pronunciation sensitivity, if you turn this bad boy all the way up, I can't pass these assignments. So if you think I have a pretty thick accent, then don't use it on the most sensitive, please. I couldn't stop laughing because I thought I had really good dictation and I couldn't pass it. So, but again, all sensitive, do you want this to be, your students better than anybody in the classroom. So let's, let the teacher kind of learn what their students can do, and then you can increase that over time. So the student is going to get this window. They are going to read. It's going to record a video and audio of them reading. They have their accessibility features in here. If they need it, they can change the text size, the spacing, that font, the colors, the themes, etc. And then they are going to read through all of this. When they are finished, they click I'm done. It takes the recording. You can allow multiple attempts if you would like. They can say, yes, I feel confident. I like this recording. And they click next. That will submit it if you are a teacher be able to see that video. They can have it grade automatically with the AI feature, or they can grade it by hand, depending on what they're using that for. All right, so we are good there. We have these action insights, which are fantastic. Let's see if this will open. All right, so what is insight is that data that we've been talking about, and this data lets you see all sorts of things. So I wanted to give you guys just a brief overview of what all you can see with the data. So you're going to be able to see the habits, the workload, the activity, and then this reflect piece, which we'll cover here in a second. So this just shows you who's inactive. This is great as a teacher. If you have a student who suddenly stops turning in work, to know, hey, I should check in with Juanita or Jacob or Priscilla and find out what's going on, why they're not turning in their work. Sometimes it's a tech issue, and students are not great at letting you know that their computer's broken. They are really great at going, well, I can't do it because my computer's broken, in those younger grades especially. So this just gives that teacher yet another layer where they can see what's going on with their students in a really real way. We have a teacher shortage. We've got huge classes in our classrooms, and read to without meaning to. All right. So reading progress is, this is what that data looks like. And this is why I just jumped to this one. So you're going to be able to see what they read and how well they read, the fluency, how many mispronunciations, how many omissions, how many words did they insert, how many did they get correct. And this is great for stuff like, parent teacher conferences. You can take this in and show their parent and say, look, this is the progress we're making. Or say, hey, this student was doing really well and then suddenly it tanked. And sometimes that opens up really great conversations for the parents even to have with their students, going, yo, like, what happens? What happens with your grades? And sometimes they're getting bullied, or they're just exhausted because they're playing too many sports, or maybe they're spending time at a babysitter's and they weren't at the beginning of the year. So it just gives everybody a really good insight into the students and their work and what's going on and all of those trends. So this is something called Reflect, and this is our social emotional piece. And this is, I get so excited about it. So you can create a Reflect check-in, and this can be so purely social emotional, or this can be something like, hey, you took a test on Friday. How do you feel about it? Like, how did you feel about the test? Did you feel prepared? So this is a place where you can create a question. You can set it so other people can't see it, or they can, depending on what you want to do. It gives you a date. It gives it a time limit if it's a time sensitive question, and then they get to click on a picture that most represents how they're feeling, which is fantastic. And it just gives you another check-in, and it's very, very quick to do. You also can go a little more in depth when you click on that emoji, and it will give you all of these emotion and feelings words to help the student build up that emotional vocabulary that a lot of us don't have. So, they're in a pretty good mood. They feel motivated. Well, what does that mean? You can click on that and it will give you a definition, and then it pops up this adorable little feelings monster and lets you clarify your needs and give them just another way to say, exactly, check him out. That's perfect. And then the teacher gets to take all of that information with the grade assignments that are being completed, all of that data, and say, hey, when they stopped turning in assignments, their, feelings monsters got really, really angry looking, or really, really, sad, or they were hurt or upset. And all of that together gives you a lot more of a clear picture into what's going on with that student, and allows the student, the teacher, the parents, the administration, they can all work together to best meet the needs of that student. And of course, GDPR and FERPA regulations and privacy standards are being met with this, with the is fantastic. Good gracious. I am so sorry. I am so inarticulate all of the sudden. So Feelings Monsters, there is in the resources a link to the Feelings Monsters video. It's 1.5 minutes and it's absolutely adorable. And I think I have time to play it for you quickly and still get to questions.
Expressing emotions can be difficult, and learning how to share feelings is an ongoing process for all of us. For students, not having the right words to define their emotions can make them feel unheard or unsupported. Reflect can help educators build relationships and introduce social and emotional learning skills. And we're excited to introduce the Feelings Monster to help students practice self-awareness and expressing themselves clearly. Students can explore definitions, view their class's reflections, and review their previous responses, helping them build self-awareness, empathy, and relationship skills. With support from the Feelings Monster, students learn to express a wide spectrum of emotions, a skill that improves classroom interactions and self-image. and is correlated with greater academic and career success. The Feelings Monster is designed to make sharing emotions more comfortable, so educators can take informed action in support of every student. With data visualizations and education insights, teachers can interpret check-ins at a glance. This can help educators identify students who need support. Reflect data can be viewed alongside student engagement to help educators get a more holistic view and reflect on their teaching practices, building a stronger classroom community for everyone.
All right, I love that video. So we are going to move out of Reflect and the Feelings Monsters. We're going to speak a little bit about Intune for Education. And this one is a question that I get asked quite a bit about Intune. So I figured we would cover this one briefly. So Intune for Education is the management solution. And Intune for Education is slightly different than Intune for commercial. So with Intune for Education, you still have all of the features of regular Intune, but it is overlaid with an easier to use, more pared down, like GUI. I don't have a better word than GUI, so hopefully everybody knows what I mean. That graphic user interface that is overlaid on top of it, that is a lot more streamlined and simple to look at, and it looks a lot like the Teams for Education. So this is almost all of the features that you would get with regular Intune. And if the school needs features that it can't get for whatever reason in Intune for Education, they absolutely can load regular Intune and make those tweaks if they are able to do that, if they have somebody that knows how to do that in Intune. So we're going to go to the Intune for Education dashboard. We're going to log in as an admin. We're going to add our password. We're going to sign in. And this is what your Intune dashboard is going to look like for a school. So we are going to launch the Express configuration. And this works with Azure Active Directory, if you saw that pop up, and that is something that your school districts will need to have in place to be able to use a lot of this cloud management software and those pieces. So welcome to Intune for Education. We're going to click Get Started down here. We're going to set it up because we have data synced with our school information system, which is fantastic. This links, I want to say like 15 plus major school information system brands, Blackboard, and I can't think of the one that I saw that I knew of that wasn't linked up yet, but they're working on it. But it's seriously, it's 12 or 15 of the major brands. Almost every school, Power School is linked up, Blackboard is linked up, etc. So most of your schools are going to have an SIS that integrates completely. You're going to click your school. And then Student Devices AP is the group we are going to click for this one. And then you can choose which apps, Microsoft Office, of course. What store apps do you want? Well, we're going to use Google, or not Google, Kahoots, and we're going to have Whiteboard, and we're going to have Fresh Paint. We're going to have Minecraft Education Edition. Fantastic. What desktop apps? Well, of course, we're going to want to use Edge, right? So then we can use the scroll bar, scroll up. I'm just going to click next because it doesn't want to scroll. We can even manage Apple devices with this. So free iOS apps, well, we don't have anything yet, right? So we are going to click, and run through. Perfect. So we can sign in. And then it's mostly block or allow. And as I said, if you need to get into some of the nitty gritty where you need a little more robust features, you can absolutely switch it to regular Intune and go through that way. But for the most part, this will meet your needs. So there we go. We're blocking some apps. How do they enroll things? Microsoft Edge settings. We're going to block password manager for security purposes. And then the user experience. No removable storage. Let's keep us as safe as possible. So we're going to go to iOS. Express settings. All right. So this is an overview of all of those settings. Do you want it or not? If it looks correct, you just hit done and you're done. Ta-da! And that's it. So Intune will work with iOS, Android, and Win devices. It will allow you to manage settings across those platforms. It's pretty simple to use, and it is a really cool tool. Sorry, I had to think how I wanted to word this. It gives you the opportunity where you can take a student device if the student has lost it, if the student is leaving the school, and you can wipe it remotely with Intune, which is fantastic. So it's kind of like a reset for your student if you end up needing it, which is a pretty awesome thing to have. So I am going to stop screen sharing and take you back to my slides. And I just put up this slide. This is a general overview of Microsoft Teams, and that came straight from the demo that we just did. Microsoft Teams for education has added some new features, one of them being classwork. You'll have a new classwork tab. And this is just another way to organize class content. You'll be able to put links and documents and videos and OneNote pages and all of these different things under one heading. So if you have a unit and you're talking about sharks, you'll be able to add all of these resources underneath that for the students to find everything all in one place, which is fantastic, I think. All right. So you have your assignments tab, and the assignments tab is getting some changes for grading. It's giving you the option for weighted grading categories. It's giving you some more options for showing student grade averages, and they'll be able to track their progress. The students will with a little more clarity and insight. So this is just what that assignment setting part is going to see. You can turn off the fun stuff if you so need. You can, new students, will they get all of the assignments or just the ones that they're there for? Teams 2.0 is rolling out later this year, and it is expected to use half of the memory of the current Teams and boot up twice as fast to make it a little more, a little faster, a little easier to use on those low cost education devices. That is based on feedback that Microsoft got from teachers that they took a little too long and to boot up, and it was a little laggy, so they decided that they would meet that need by launching 2.0, and that will be phased in slowly. All right. So this is just, again, the weighted grading categories. They're not too hard to add. And I actually used weighted grading categories in my classroom all the time. Homework was worth like 10% because I was required to grade homework, and then tests were and projects were 50% and whatnot. And it just, I thought, made it a little more fair for the students that tested well but didn't do homework, or did all of the work but didn't test well. It kind of balanced out their grades. Coming in the fall, we are going to have reading progress comprehension questions, which is fantastic. I am so excited about this. So you'll be able to give them that reading assignment. You'll get all of that great data, but then you're also going to be able to ask them questions It doesn't matter if they can read it super fast in 20 seconds if they have no idea what they're reading. So this is just going to give you another layer of data. And again, that's feedback from teachers and parents and students to test that and get them more prepared for the future. So Reading Coach is going to be integrated with an immersive reader, so they'll be able to work together seamlessly for students. Microsoft Forms is getting some templates that are more education specific to try to save teachers some time when they're trying to build tests or, parental forms. They'll have some that are pre-built. The automatic lowering of the hand, I already talked about. Webinar experience, if a school has a tech administrator who wants to put on a webinar for the teachers, they can track all of that and have that information for continuing education credits and all of that good stuff. The education templates for Teams meetings, I already discussed this as well. You can share and save templates in Microsoft Whiteboard, so you can reuse those in multiple classes, which again will save time. And then this is the class notebook, and rumor has it that coming this fall, they're slowly going to be rolling out Copilot for the class notebooks. And that's what this is. So you'll be able to say, give it some tasks, and the AI will help you plan that graduation party. Minecraft Education Edition. If you have any questions about this, if you're hearing about it, I'm running out of time, so I'm going to stop talking. Please, please, please send me an email. I can talk about Minecraft for Education Edition for hours. I absolutely adore it. It's literacy, it's science, it's social studies, it's art, it's social emotional, it's ecology, and they're playing a game and they're learning, and it's really in-depth learning, and it's a fantastic tool. If you have any questions, if you want to schedule a call to learn more about our cloud team, if you want to learn more about Microsoft Teams for Education, if you have questions about Intune for Education, low-cost education devices, I'll hop on a call with you. I'll hop on a call with your sales team. I'll hop on a call with your customers. Please reach out, microsofteducation@dnh.com. Ask your questions. I will happily answer them. I do see there are a couple down here. And I'll see if I can get to them quickly. If a school is using Chrome, can a Teams be offered? Are you asking if I can use Teams on a Chrome device? Because if so, yes, it can work on a Chromebook. It's not fantastic, but it does work. Surface Hub, I am embarrassed to say that I don't work with Surface at all, but I can absolutely forward that to our Surface team and let you know. Getting up and running in Teams so that it's used efficiently and the class is rolling, that depends on the technology proficiency of the teacher, in my personal opinion. I could get it up and running in about an hour, probably with a complete unit already preloaded into my Teams classroom and ready to roll. That would also include time, changing colors and themes and playing around with it because I'm extra like that. Any other teacher could set it up and load one assignment in probably 10, 15 minutes. It's not overly difficult. It's pretty intuitive, unless they're not proficient with computers in general. And I've worked with several of those, and it took us about 45 minutes to sit down and set up a team and help them kind of think through the process of how they wanted to organize their materials. How do you purchase Teams for Education? Please reach out to me, microsofteducation@dnh.com. Most of the licenses are through our cloud team. You're looking at A1 for device, A3 and A5 licensing. You can also buy a Teams license separately. And of course, I mean, we have other options, but those are probably the top 4. You are welcome to use our X as a Service Microsoft Education portal. And I believe that link is in your resources as well. We can get you signed up, get you onboarded, and you can quote licenses, devices, and services all in one quote in a matter of minutes, and then send that to your inside sales rep. If the school has Winbooks, iPads, and Android tablets, can Intune manage them all? Yes, it can. And you do not need Autopilot to use Intune, but you need Intune to use Autopilot. And we do offer Autopilot services here at D&H. And if you are interested, we can absolutely set up a call and talk more about provisioning those devices. With tenant access, it's $3 for an education customer to provision those devices for you. And I am so over time. So thank you all for the extra 5.5 minutes today. I really appreciate it. And if you have any questions, please reach out and let me know. Thank you.